For women's basketball, the ability to enter the portal itself closes on Wednesday, the 23rd. For men, it closes Tuesday, the 22nd. So time is winding down, and we're still waiting for, as Don Staley likes to say, some birdies to fly into the nest. She tweeted just a little while ago that a new birdie has flown into the nest. It hasn't been announced officially just yet who that is.
We saw Tanaya Latson. She made it official. She is signed, so that is an official deal. You can count Latson in for next season. She was in the jersey doing all the photo ops, but that new birdie, we saw Medina Oka, some juicy stories there.
Welcome back to another episode of South Carolina Sideline, everyone. Happy to be with you on, for us, a Monday night, but coming to you on a Tuesday. I'm Claire Foley, joined alongside Jared Parker. Before we get into this week's episode, we want to make sure you're keeping up to date with us every single week. So make sure you follow us on Instagram at SC Sideline. You listen to us on anywhere that you find your podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, all of the above. You can also watch us now on YouTube, also at South Carolina Sideline. Make sure you follow, subscribe, like, all the things. Okay, let's pick up where we left off. Last week was a big women's basketball episode. We talked about Mylasia Fulwiley being in the portal, adding that do not contact tag. Jared, unfortunately, no updates on that front.
I mean, Mylasia, she's enjoying her life. I've been watching her Instagram. She's out on jet skis and whatnot. She's in no hurry at all to give us any clarity on what her next choice is. I mean, we don't even know where she's visiting. She has really kept her next move under wraps. I mean, I love that for her. That's great. I'm sure she feels at peace,
like you said, maybe she's just taking this time to enjoy some time off, be with family, be with friends, that kind of thing, and not feeling any sort of pressure to make that next decision. But because she's already in the portal, she has that opportunity. She has that luxury. For those who have not made a decision yet to enter the portal, it's coming down to the wire. For women's basketball, the ability to enter the portal itself closes on Wednesday, the 23rd. For men, it closes Tuesday, the 22nd. So time is winding down, and we're still waiting for, as Don Staley likes to say, some birdies to fly into the nest. She tweeted just a little while ago that a new birdie has flown into the nest. It hasn't been announced officially just yet who that is. But Jared, we saw on social media this weekend some very special visitors to Columbia trying on that Gamecock uniform. Tell the listeners a little bit about that.
I mean, yeah, obviously we saw Tanaya Latson. She made it official. She is signed, so that is an official deal. You can count Latson in for next season. She was in the jersey doing all the photo ops, but that new birdie, we saw Medina Oka, some juicy stories there. She was at Soda City at the market with Adele Tack and Miriam Dowda, enjoying Columbia. They looked like teammates. That didn't look like a visit. That looked like a teammate. And then we saw her doing photo shoots. Raven Johnson posted it on her story. And of course, Okot reshared all of this. So the way they're kind of moving, hanging out with Okot, it seems like she's part of the team already.
They're acting like it's official. That's for sure. Which, hey, we're fine with. We're going to let them say it at this point. We're just going to report on, hey, we saw the stories. We saw the posts. Not saying anything, not saying it's official, but we'll let you decide that for yourselves. But also last week we talked about the WNBA draft. Of course, Tahina Paopao, Bree Hall, and Sanaya Fagan all getting selected in the second round. Jared, so happy for them adding to the accolades of South Carolina women's basketball being at the next level. We talked about last week that all three of them offer something special to these teams. And Sanaya Fagan in particular, I had said I feel like she's ready for it. I would really like to see her succeed in the next level, and that's something that her new GM in the LA Sparks was really complimentary of her about.
Yeah, I mean, Sanaya, she brings everything you want as a pro. Like you said, the GM said that. We've seen Sanaya obviously at South Carolina. I think what's so impressive about her, and all three of them, of course, are impressive, but what's so impressive about her is that she stayed on the bench for 3 years, stuck with the program, and then when it was her time to shine, she delivered and she did well. And obviously, that's why she's a pro now.
And that's exactly what her new GM was so complimentary of her about, was her ability to stick in it, hold out, and wait for her time. And when it was her time, to really shine. So take a listen to this soundbite right here.
It means a lot just to know that I played for South Carolina. I played with the best of the best. To win as we did, but we also loved each other. We support each other as well. So just being able to play for South Carolina and have teammates that loved each other and supported each other and also win. I feel like the lessons that I learned that's going to help me as a pro is just basically just staying myself, staying confident, trusting my teammates, but also having them trust me as well.
Naya comes from a program that has had bigs that have transitioned really well into the WNBA. And so she's been mentored really well. Sanaya is somebody I think that even while staying committed to a process, people keep saying that about her, but a lot of people don't know what that means actually in real life. She had to come into practice, I'm sure. Sanaya, I'm sure you could talk about it better than I could, but freshman year, probably getting your booty kicked every day in practice by an Aaliyah Boston or whomever was, else there, Cardoso. Waiting your turn it is way harder than people realize, to be able to come in every single day. It's not just about game day, and it's not just about the press conferences after games and the wins. It's about the every single day in practice and what that means. So we definitely filtered that in our choice of Sanaya, and just that toughness and resiliency that she has.
All right, that was Sanaya Fagan with her new team, the LA Sparks. Well, sticking with women's sports at South Carolina, we have another new SEC championship winner among us in the South Carolina Gamecocks. That belongs to women's golf. They took home the title last Friday down in Florida at Pelican Golf Club. They won the program's second SEC title. Jared, this was a very emotional team after that win, and they really had to put in the work. I mean, they played in the semifinals to start Friday morning, immediately had to play in the finals after that, and in the finals they went into extra holes. So the one who would win it for South Carolina would be Louise Ridquist. She played 38 holes in one day.
I mean, I don't know what it takes to play 38 holes in a day. I'm not a golfer myself. I don't think I want to know, because that is a lot of golf, not just physically, but mentally staying locked in for that long. And you mentioned it was very emotional. I think you saw when she won it, it looked like relief. It looked like all the emotions pouring in, like everything you've been holding for the last several hours trying to reach your goal. You just saw it all release when she knocked down that shot. And that emotion there, that was everything. That was everything to watch that moment of celebration.
Absolutely, and especially for a senior. So take a listen, hear her reaction right after South Carolina won the SEC championship.
I mean, it's one of those moments that you always dream of, and it's going to be a moment for the rest of my life that I'll cherish. And to have one of those putts and to close it out is just such a cool feeling. And I came to South Carolina because I thought it was a program where we could win championships, and being a senior now and doing that with this team just means the world to me.
All right, also on Friday afternoon, still a big day here in Columbia. It was South Carolina football's annual spring game at Williams-Brice Stadium. Sold out crowd. They didn't sell out all the seats in Williams-Brice Stadium. They specifically reserved it for just half the stadium, but the Gamecock fans really filled out the place. It was rocking, not quite like a regular fall football game at Williams-Brice, but it was gearing up for it, getting ready for the season. Now, going into it, head coach Shane Beamer said he was really excited about it. He liked how the team looked in practices and the scrimmages leading up to it. Maybe it was the bright lights, maybe it was all the emotions, maybe it was fatigue, any of that. You could come up with a bunch of different reasons. wasn't a great spring game for them.
Yeah.
Not great offense. Final score of the game was 10-7. All of those points were scored in the second quarter. Shane Beamer was very blunt about it after, and that he was disappointed with what the team put forward that day.
I mean, I think I'm glad he was blunt, because I think especially recently we've seen a lot of people question why people need a spring game, and he said, this is why you need a spring game. The dropped punts, the missed assignments, things like that. That's why you need the spring game. You have almost 40,000 fans, and obviously they're all cheering for you, so you're not really going to get much booing. But just having almost 40,000 sets of eyes watching you and needing to deliver in a competitive scenario, for some of those players, that's their first time stepping out onto a college field, into a stadium like Williams-Brice. How many more stadiums like Williams-Brice are there out there? So it really put them in the environment to make those mistakes in a risk-free environment, and they made quite a few mistakes, but
that's what a spring game's for.
It's spring. You have a couple months now to tighten things up for August and get on the road.
Absolutely, and it doesn't take away anything that they've accomplished and progressed in so far this spring. It's just not the ideal scenario they wanted. Noted. They'll learn from those mistakes. They'll clean it up a little bit, and they have all summer to do so. Shane Beamer saying that they'll go back to classes this week, finish up the semester, then they'll have a break and come back the Monday after Memorial Day, and it's back to work, back to summer training. Football season is going to be here before you know it. But right now, it's still baseball and softball season, so we're going to take a quick break and recap the Gamecocks weekend on the Diamonds.
Welcome back to South Carolina Sideline. We had a busy weekend, as you obviously saw earlier on, that included baseball and softball. We'll start with the guys. Baseball getting their first SEC series win. They weren't able to close it out on day 3, but still a really good weekend against a ranked team in Ole Miss. Are you looking at that last game like it's a big deal, or is the bigger picture they finally won a series?
I think there are a lot of wins to take away from the first 2 wins of the series, starting with the first game on Thursday night this week because of the Easter holiday. They shifted it up a week, but Brandon Stone with a complete game. I mean, that was huge. After South Carolina struggled so much the weekend before, specifically on their pitching. Their pitchers just weren't able to get in the zone, get control. Brandon Stone comes in on Thursday. He throws 86 pitches. That's it. For a complete 9 innings.
Ridiculous.
And 61 of those were strikes. That's a huge win for the Gamecocks on paper, but also to the confidence of the pitching staff. Then you go into game 2, Jake McCoy, he's doing the same thing, 6 1/3 innings. He had, I wrote it down. He had 7 strikeouts through that. And you combine this with Nathan Hall coming back into the lineup offensively. He had a huge weekend, couple multi-hit games, big RBIs coming in for some much needed insurance runs. So definitely a big key 2 wins there. You get that first SEC series win of the year. That does a number for your confidence, especially, like you said, against the number 11 team in the country. Then you go on to Saturday, the 3rd game of the series, and they're struggling early on.
Struggle bad.
Jarvis Evans Jr., just not a great day for him. He allowed, 5 runs, 4 hits, struggled with the walks in that game, 5 total home runs in that game. So not a great game for pitching, but also, just as I said last week, South Carolina has been bit by the injury bug a lot this year. First inning, Henry Kazmar, he's running down to first, kind of tweaks his hamstring a little bit. He comes out. That's going to be big for South Carolina. Not only has he produced defensively, he's part of that middle infield as a shortstop that turned 9 double plays last week, 7 in this weekend series. Wow. Their defense, especially from their middle infield, is elite. So if we lose him, he's also been their best bat in SEC play. If they lose him, that's going to be a big loss. So hopefully it's nothing minor. He takes a couple days. They'll be back in action Tuesday night against UNF. And then also Gavin Breland, their 2nd string catcher at this point because Talmadge LeCroy went down earlier in the year. He took a foul ball off the knuckle. So he stuck in it for a little while, but that's definitely something they're going to want to keep an eye on because they have Max Coffer after that. But after Max Coffer is Henry Kazmar. It was just hard. And Henry Kazmar, he hasn't caught since Little League. But that's where we're at right now because of the injuries. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on, but definitely those first 2 games of the series were huge wins for South Carolina, much needed, and excited to see them going forward. They're taking on a Kentucky team this weekend that lost 2 out of 3 to Ole Miss, but they also won 2 out of 3 to the defending champion Tennessee Volunteers.
Now, is it too much of an overreaction? You know, sports fans, we love to overreact after big wins. Is it too much of an overreaction to start looking at tournament play for the Gamecocks and saying they could maybe do something?
I think that might be a bit optimistic. I'll take the coach answer here and just say, let's go game by game. Take it one game at a time. Let's see what they do tomorrow in their midweek. But softball also off to a great weekend.
Yeah.
They've got to finish it up tonight on Monday, but 2 wins out of the gate. Their series didn't start until Saturday. So they're Saturday, Sunday, Monday this week. They won Saturday, Sunday. And I think the story there is the pitching. I took my notes, wrote this down too. On Saturday, the first game, obviously the offense showed up, 14-1 win over Kentucky, and that's the most runs they've scored in a single game all year. But like I said, I really think it's the pitching that has been the story of the first 2 games. It was just Sam Gress and Jory Hurd to get through the 5-inning run rule win the other day. And then on Sunday, it was Neely Lamb and Sam Gress that combined for the full game. And now you're going through the list of those 3 pitchers right there. Sam, coming into the 3rd game, she's only pitched 4 1/3 innings. Jory, only 3 innings. Neely Lamb, 4 2/3 innings. That's huge to have that much still left in the tank heading into this series finale. And I think what was surprising looking at it on paper, softball's only 9-8 in conference play this year. So every win counts. You have the series win already, but let's get after it tonight and get the sweep. I think that'll be important for them.
I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. You look at the SEC and just go down like what Georgia is like 3rd to last in the SEC. How is Georgia 3rd to last in the SEC? That is a great softball team. So when you mention that they're 9-8, it just makes you think how competitive this conference is. But for them looking into tournament play, like how competitive is that tournament going to be?
Well, I was going to say they're 9-8 in conference play, but still ranked the number 10 team in the country.
Yeah.
So that just tells you where the SEC is at. I think I'm excited to see how they turn out in the conference tournament. So we'll see how the next few weeks of conference play go and go from there, one game at a time.
Well, going from there, obviously going back to basketball, the portal closing soon. When South Carolina sideline gets back, we'll tell you who we think the Gamecocks need to add in the transfer portal.
Welcome back into South Carolina's sideline. Before we let you go, we've got some predictions ahead of you. Like I said at the top of this show, for men's basketball, the portal closes on Tuesday, the 22nd. For the women, it closes on the 23rd. Jared, we've seen both men's and women's teams from South Carolina make moves during this portal period. In the final hours, where would you maybe still be looking for them to make some moves?
So for the women, I think it's kind of obvious. I think that final piece they want, Gianna Neepkins from Utah, great shooter, 6 foot. She can bring size at that forward position. She's not as strong of an on-ball defender as Bree Hall, but Bree Hall still leaves a position open, and I think she can fit in there. Or even if Tessa fills into that spot, bringing Gianna off the bench, she's a great scorer. I think if they land Gianna, that's the home run. They don't need to touch the roster at all. They are ready to go chase the title after that. On the men's side, I mean...
They've got some holes.
They've got some holes. They added Mike Sharovjomps today from Utah, 6'9" guard. He has some skills. I think that's a nice add. For them, I just think you need to add the most talented player you can find at any position. After that last season in the SEC, I don't think you can really be picky with who you add. Just find talent add talent. That should be the goal, especially with Colin Murray-Boyles leading. You're going to need a strong scorer to replace him. So wherever the talent is, that's where they should go.
Yeah, absolutely. You just mentioned it there. Colin Murray-Boyles last week officially declared for the draft. We had a feeling he might be heading there, but he made it official last week. And also Nick Pringle, he had gone into the portal originally, but he has made a new home in Auburn. It's looking like his third SEC school. And that right there, just as we've talked about in all of these sports, shows how strong the SEC is, that it's desired just to keep moving around in there to keep it strong. Well, definitely going to be some news in the coming days, so keep updated with us on our social media. I am on Twitter or X at Claire Foley TV. He's on Twitter or X at Jared Parker TV. Matt Dowell is Matt Dowell TV. We keep it easy for you around here. Not going to make it hard for you. And we're not going to make it hard for you to find this podcast either. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, anywhere where you find your podcast. We're there at South Carolina Sideline. You can watch it on YouTube, SC Sideline, and on Instagram. If you want to see some clips, we also share them on our personal Twitters as well at SC Sideline. Thanks so much for joining us for another week's episode. We drop these episodes every Tuesday, so make sure you follow, like, subscribe to see them every single week. Have a good week, guys.